Have you ever noticed how in the personal development industry or like the spiritual communities, it seems like the answer to everything is love yourself more. Like you're procrastinating, love yourself more. You are doubting yourself, love yourself more. You keep self-sabotaging, oh, you just need to be kinder to yourself. Like give yourself grace, right? And I get this. I mean, like I say this shit too. I say this shit too, but there's something that's even more powerful that no one talks about that we're going to talk about today. Because also, whenever I say anything about like lean into love or whatever, I'm talking about a consciousness, not an act. Okay. An act of self-love can be something like drinking water, going to the gym, right? Like an act of self-love can look like a lot of different things. The consciousness of love and being in a frequency of love, being in a state of love is very different than self-love, okay? So I want to make that very clear right up front for any of my clients watching. They are not the same. Okay. Self-love is important though, especially early on in your journey, but it is not the answer to, getting what you want, to being more successful in your business, to being more magnetic to dream clients, or even like having your partner start to show up for you in a way that just blows your mind, an elaborate way that that's out of character for them, right? Like, because self-love isn't the thing that makes you show up when no one is watching. It's not the thing that makes you go all in on your work whenever doubt starts creeping in, or raise your prices when you know it's time, or even just actually know that your work is the work. Self-love doesn't do that for you. It's beautiful, especially when you get to the point where it's unconditional, meaning all versions of you are worthy and deserving of love. You could be bed rotting and doom scrolling and still know that you're worthy and deserving of love when you've tapped into that frequency and it's like an obvious thing. Unconditional love can look like, oh, you can love yourself all day and still betray yourself, break your own word to yourself, tolerate bullshit, tolerate things that you don't even stand for. Okay. So, what's more powerful is when you actually like yourself, when you respect yourself. That's when everything changes. And self-love has a voice, self-respect has a voice, self-like has a voice. And self-love looks like or sounds like I deserve good things, right? I know I'm meant for greatness. I know I'm meant for impact. I know I'm meant for wealth. It's like nice. It's that's great. It's not enough to move you, right? It's not enough to, it just doesn't move you. You could try it right now. Say something like, I deserve good things. Even if you say it with your whole chest, with conviction, I deserve good things. It's cool, but does it change your energy? Did you suddenly feel like a shift within yourself? Probably not. Self-respect sounds like I don't tolerate things that limit me, that shrink me. I don't tolerate people in my life that try and shrink me or limit me. This is stronger, but it is a boundary, but it still places the power outside of you. And it still focuses on what you're not allowing rather than what you're stepping into. And liking yourself sounds like I actually fucking like being me. I enjoy being me. I trust myself so deeply that I don't need permission. I don't need proof. I don't need validation. The only approval I need is my approval. And you can say that out loud too, with the same level of conviction as I deserve good things. I don't need anybody's approval. I only need my approval. And if that doesn't land in your body, then you haven't like mastered the art of liking yourself. This is where confidence is really comes in strong. This is where magnetism is born, not from more affirmations, right? So if the only approval I need is my own approval, feels like an affirmation, then, that's not going to work. You have to work. I'll give you 5 things that you can start doing now to start liking yourself in just a few minutes. But that's not going to work to make you like yourself. You don't need more affirmations. You need to actually be the version of you who backs herself fully. So, what does this look like when you do like yourself? Your entire presence shifts. The way you show up changes. Like you're naturally moved to show up. It's non-fucking negotiable that you express yourself. You're making decisions way faster because you trust yourself and you're not getting hung up in like loops and second guessing everything that comes in your mind, second guessing your intuition. It looks like it being consistent, not because you should or so you can stay relevant, but because you want to see what's gonna happen next. What happens when you go all in? You start charging what you actually want to charge because you respect your work and you're not going to discount it for a bunch of people who don't appreciate it, who don't have the capacity to receive the full gift of your genius. You stop over explaining yourself because you're not seeking approval. You're not going like, let me say a thing. Oh, let me check. Did they like it? You know what I mean? Like you're not doing that because you don't need approval from people who get it or people who don't get it, especially people who don't get it, who were never going to get it in the first place, who were never going to pay you to be in your world. It looks like getting really clear on your message and what you actually have to bring into the world, knowing that like who I naturally am, there's going to be some people who are fucking down for that. And those same people happen to be the exact people who need what I have to bring to the world. Wow. And the people who don't like it or who it's not for, doesn't matter because they have their own people. They have other people who are meant to activate them in ways that you're not meant to activate them, and you are unbothered by this. I have chills. I have chills all in my scalp right now. And it also looks like shifting your energy in real time, like alchemizing your energy in real time instead of allowing yourself to spiral in shame and judgment and guilt and doubt and blame instead of coming up with reasons to do it later, like continuing to doom scroll rather than doing the thing that you actually want to do, like making content or putting out a new offer. When you like yourself, you back yourself. And when you back yourself, everyone else does too. And the ones who don't, like you don't even care. Like it's not a thing. It doesn't matter. Again, your approval is the only approval that you need. The moment you start operating from the version of you who is already that person, not the person who's working on it, who's figuring it out, the one who is already living it, that's when you start moving in a way that makes you incredibly magnetic, that commands respect, that commands actual results. So if you are still waiting for the right moment to step fully in to your gift, to your genius, to your business, to that next level that you know you're being required to unleash, if you're doubting yourself, hesitating to claim the space you know you're meant to be a part of, or even the space that you know you're meant to be leading, it's not because you don't love yourself enough. I promise. I promise. It's because you don't actually like yourself enough to stand 10 toes down in your own genius. And so, how do we start getting you to really, really like yourself, to really enjoy yourself? It's so much that you are moved to do things that this other version of you like struggles to show up for. Okay. This is a very clear distinction here. Very clear. If you are struggling to show up for the vision that you have, it's because you are seeing that thing as something you don't like doing, and you're seeing yourself as someone you don't like. Because that, having that success or having that vision come to life, you wouldn't like the person you think you'd have to have that, which really looks like, I think I have to be different. When the reality is, you were fucking made for it. You were born for it, and you need to claim this shit. You need to start liking who this person is right here, right now, because that is the only person, and the only version of you who is capable of even bringing that vision to life. Okay. So, number one is to start keeping your own promises. Stop negotiating with yourself. We do not negotiate with terrorists. Okay. Stop saying that you're going to show up and then ghost it. Every time that you don't follow through, you are proving to yourself that you are not trustworthy. If you don't think that you're trustworthy, of course you're not going to like yourself. You're going to shame yourself. And so stop giving yourself reason to shame yourself. Stop making it optional that you drink the fucking water, that you move your body, that you do your breath work. Know that the more you keep your promises to yourself, the more you're actually going to like yourself, because you're going to like the person you are while you're doing those things. How many times have you ever like put off working out or doing Kundalini or something, and it's like the moment you were done, you're like, God, I'm so happy that I did that, because you like who you're being. You like the way that you feel about yourself because you did something that you know you like. So build trust with yourself. Stop waiting for external proof that you should like yourself, and give it to yourself. This isn't about just like pushing through, but in the beginning, it might be. Okay, there's nothing wrong with like forcing yourself to do a habit. You do it because you are committed to liking yourself. And you can see, I don't like the version of me who makes like stories and reasons to put shit off that I know I want to be doing. Okay. This is where the work that I do with people comes in clutch. Okay. Because it's designed to keep you honest. Because you're smart as fuck, and your shadow is tricky as fuck. So it doesn't matter how smart you are, it will trick you. It'll make you like focus on things that you're not even aware that you shifted into until it's affecting you in a big way. And so it's designed, the work that we do together is designed to hold you to a higher standard than anybody else in your life will or even can. This is where you are like, it keeps you honest. This is what I want. Okay, this is how I show up in my life. Mm, Stop making it optional, right? Number two, okay, stop fixing yourself and start owning. You're not broken. You don't need another like healing phase before you can be successful. You need to start being the successful version of you now. How is she spending her day? How is she responding to the asshole inner critic? Because those voices, they don't necessarily just go away. I mean, they definitely lessen, they definitely quiet, but especially if you have an open head in your human design, you're taking shit in, okay? You're taking in other people's thoughts, other people's feelings. You got to clear that shit out. You got to also know what's yours. And if it's open, most of it's probably not yours. But you also do have an inner critic. You have beliefs. You have conditioning. We need to like wildly decondition and recondition that shit. And that takes a lot of repetition. But how are you responding to the inner critic versus how is she responding to the inner critic? I call Hillary the inner critic. I said, like, go sit down, Hillary. Like, no one's fucking talking to you. Okay. What is she eating? What is the tone of her voice like? How is she moving? You need to start moving like the person that you claim to be. Claim it, own it, be it. Okay, number three, surround yourself with other powerhouses. I know you've heard this before. This is like the most cliche thing in the world, but your results are a reflection of the rooms you're in. If you're the most powerful person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. You seen that Kardashian? Actually, oh my gosh, let me find it because I like the other version. I found it.
Yourself with people that won't work. How is a work environment where everyone loves what they do? Love you at one. So toxic work environments and shove them through the work. You're the smartest person in that room. You gotta go to another room. Best advice.
So, at the risk of sounding so fucking cliche, we have to bring some comedy into it because it is one of the most cliche sayings ever, but it's real. Like, how many times have you noticed that you have a friend who is just always so negative, and every time you're around them, you start feeling negative, you start feeling heavy. All they want to do is like talk shit about people. And you're like, you know what? I actually don't like gossiping. I'd rather talk about ideas. But because you are afraid of hurting that person's feelings or whatever, you still keep hanging out with them, right? So this, even though it is a cliche, it is really important to put yourself in spaces. And that being said, if you've ever been in like a group program or a membership or anything like that, where everybody is like really working on themselves in a really beautiful way. And I know I'm kind of lazy whenever it comes to like saying things that contradict what I'm saying. When I'm saying like working on themselves, I mean like showing the fuck up in this new way, not just letting themselves get away with stuff, letting themselves off the hook. They're actually showing up and saying, hey, there's a distortion here. Hey, I have a question about this. Hey, they're engaging and having breakthroughs and aha moments. You also have those breakthroughs and aha moments because you're in that space, right? Surround yourself with other powerhouse people. Number four, move. Even when you're not feeling like it, you do not need to feel ready. You do not need to believe that you're ready. You do not have to do any of that. You don't need clarity. Sometimes clarity doesn't come until after you've started moving because a lot of these gifts that you're waiting for to happen, like clarity, like confidence, they happen after you've gotten momentum. They're gifts of moving. They're not something that comes first. Sometimes you can get clarity in your journal. You can work things out in your journal and it'll make sense. But those things, sometimes they move you, sometimes they don't. What is way more dependable is momentum. So the most magnetic people, they don't wait for inspiration. They move and inspiration catches up to them. The results catch up to them. Okay. Number five is to bet on yourself like you bet on other people. You gas people up all day, every day, right? When is it your turn? And when you do get the opportunity to gas your own self up, do you hesitate? Do you buy into the stories? What would you say to somebody else who's experiencing those things if they were telling you, be your own supporter? Imagine if you hyped yourself up the way that you hype up other people. That energy would change the game for you. Okay. There are so many ways to do this. I just did this morning. I haven't been getting enough sleep. And so I wake up like totally beat. And there are some things that I'm just not going to sit in. Like, I did this to myself. I'm not going to sit here and punish myself for it all day. I'm going to be the fucking alchemist that I am. And this is not about just powering through, it's becoming a master alchemist and knowing how to shift the fucking energy. And the thing is that we also won't remember to do this if we don't like ourselves. Okay. So even if you start small, but I would still make it like your main your main goal right now is to back yourself and to treat yourself like the goddess that you are. And yeah, it takes practice. It also takes being relentless with yourself. Like you don't actually stop before the shift happens. And if the shift doesn't happen, you stay with it. You stay with yourself. Back to the sneaky stories thing. When you're trying to do this on your own in the beginning, sometimes I promise you're going to like try and shift the wrong things. And then, because that's just how shadow works. Okay. It fucking teases you, it keeps you busy on the wrong shit so that it can make its getaway. And you don't have time to be fucking around with this, okay? And if you do have time, beautiful. But for those who do not have time to be fucking around with these sneaky things, and you're like, you know what? I want to see this shit. I want to move through this fast. Then DM me on Instagram and let's talk. Or you can come into the Rich Witch Society. If you know that, like, you're big done fucking around. Say hello. Hi, Gizmo. Then you'll want to check out Rich Witch Society. I'll put links to the Instagram and to the Rich Witch Society in the comments and in the description because every day in this world is really you becoming the person and being the person that you actually want to be. And it happens so much faster when you're not sitting there like trying to figure it out. Okay. So, yeah, that's it for this episode. Prioritize liking yourself. I promise you, it moves you a lot more than more self-love, more self-care, right? Let me know in the comments too. If this cracked something open for you, let me know your favorite takeaway and subscribe for more power moves. And I'll see you on the next video.